Hello, students. Welcome back. So are you ready to hear about our Elmer elevator? This is the final video, so you will see what will happen to our character. Let's jump right into the adventure. Okay, I want you to picture something for a second. Put yourself right in this brave boy's shoes. You're standing on the edge of a wide, dark, incredibly muddy river. You know, for a fact you have to get to the other side, but there is a huge problem. That muddy water is completely filled with hungry, sharp-toothed crocodiles. Their eyes peek above the surface as they glide through the muddy water. So, what would you do? Would you turn back? Try to build a boat? It's a massive challenge, so keep that question in the back of your mind as we go. Elmer stared at the river. The crocodiles splashed and swam closer, their sharp teeth flashing in the sunlight. The river looked impossible to cross. But then Elmer reached into his backpack and remembered something very important. All right, so here is the exact situation our hero is facing. On his side of the river, there's nothing but mud and jungle. But on the other side is the reason he came to the island in the first place, a poor baby dragon trapped with a thick rope tied around its neck. Elmer knows he has to reach him, but between them is a wide river packed with crocodiles. He stands at the muddy riverbank, staring across the water, trying to think of any way to get to the other side. Now, as he's looking around, he notices something nearby. A tall flagpole rises above the trees with a thick rope wrapped around a giant crank. A sign beside it reads, "To summon dragon, turn crank, report disorderly conduct to gorilla." For a moment, it seems like the perfect solution. But then Elmer thinks about what would happen. If he turns the crank, the mean gorilla will hear it right away. And even worse, the rope is tied around the baby dragon's neck. Pulling it could hurt the dragon or twist his wings. No, Elmer decides. The rope isn't the answer. He'll have to find another way across the river. Just as Elmer is about to risk climbing the tall pole anyway, splash, a loud noise erupts from the river behind him. The sky is growing dark, and at first he can't see anything in the muddy water. Then a pale moon slips out from behind the clouds. Two glowing reptile eyes appear just above the surface. A quiet, sneaky voice drifts through the darkness. "The water's lovely," it whispers, "and I have such a craving for something sweet. Won't you come in for a swim?" Elmer freezes. Oh no, it's a crocodile, and it's been watching him the whole time. The crocodile is clearly hoping Elmer will jump into the river and become his dinner. But Elmer is much too clever for that. He politely explains that he never swims after sundown. Then he adds that he does have something sweet to offer. Reaching into his backpack, Elmer pulls out his secret weapon, 24 bright pink lollipops. They gleam in the moonlight like little jewels. Now, imagine that for a second. You're standing beside a river full of hungry crocodiles, and your plan is candy. It sounds completely ridiculous, but for Elmer, it might just work. He asks the crocodile if he and his friends would like a lollipop. The crocodile's eyes grow wide with excitement. "Lollipops?" he says. "Why, that's a treat. How about it, boys?" Suddenly, a chorus of scaly voices rises from the muddy river. "Hooray, lollipops!" All across the water, crocodile heads pop up from the mud. Eyes blink, tails splash. One after another, dozens of crocodiles appear, all grinning at the thought of candy. Just moments ago, they seemed scary and dangerous. Now they look more like a crowd of excited kids waiting for a treat. Okay, this is where Elmer's plan gets really clever. He doesn't just toss the lollipops into the river. Instead, he tells the crocodiles that lollipops last much longer if they stay dry. First, he gives the nearest crocodile a lollipop to enjoy. Then, taking a deep breath, he carefully steps onto the crocodile's back. Finally, he asks the crocodile to lift its tail and uses a rubber band to fasten another bright pink lollipop right to the tip. The crocodile is so busy thinking about candy that he doesn't even question it. And Elmer is just getting started. He tells the crocodiles, "You gentlemen could save a lot of time if you lined up across the river." The crocodiles think that sounds like a wonderful idea. So the second crocodile swims over and starts licking the lollipop tied to the first crocodile's tail. Elmer carefully walks across its back and fastens another lollipop to the second crocodile's tail. Then a third crocodile swims up, then a fourth. One by one, the crocodiles line up across the muddy river. As Elmer moves along, he keeps count. 1, 2, 3. The line grows longer and longer until finally he reaches 17. It takes exactly 17 crocodiles stretched head to tail to make a bridge all the way across the river. Just think about what Elmer has created. It's a bridge made entirely of crocodiles, all lined up across the river, happily licking their lollipops. As he carefully steps from one bumpy green back to the next, he isn't using strength or speed to solve his problem. Instead, he's using something even more powerful, his brain. Elmer shows us that you don't have to be the biggest or strongest to overcome a challenge. Sometimes the best solution is the one nobody else would think of. And in this case, that solution just happens to involve a backpack full of candy, a handful of rubber bands, and a very clever plan. But wait, just as Elmer is crossing the back of the 15th crocodile with only 2 lollipops left, something changes. The noisy monkeys in the trees suddenly go completely silent. For a moment, the jungle is still. Then he hears it, a low rumble. At first, it's faint, but it quickly grows louder and louder and louder. The sound rolls through the dark jungle like distant thunder. Whatever is making that noise is big, and it's coming straight toward the river. Elmer freezes and listens, wondering what could possibly be heading his way. Out of the darkness comes a burst of angry shouting. The animals of Wild Island have finally realized they've been fooled. They know someone is trying to rescue the dragon, and they are furious. The jungle suddenly erupts with noise. Branches snap, bushes shake, heavy paws and pounding hooves crash through the darkness. A massive stampede is racing toward the riverbank. Here, stampede means when many animals all run at once. And right in the middle of the river, standing on a bridge of crocodiles, is Elmer. Listen to what is chasing him. This isn't just 1 or 2 angry animals. Charging out of the jungle are 7 furious tigers, a raging rhinoceros, 2 lions, a gorilla, 2 wild boars, and what seems like countless screeching monkeys. They burst onto the riverbank and immediately spot Elmer. There he is, standing on the crocodile bridge with only a short distance left to go. In an instant, the animals understand exactly what has happened. The crocodiles have helped him cross the river, and now the entire crowd is racing toward the water. The moment Elmer jumps onto the far bank, the baby dragon bursts out of the bushes. It bounces excitedly from foot to foot, urging him to hurry. Behind them, the sound of the stampede grows louder every second. Elmer races to the dragon and pulls out his sharp jackknife. Then he gets to work on the thick rope tied around the dragon's neck. Back and forth, the blade saws through the rope, but it's thicker than he expected. The animals are getting closer. The ground is shaking beneath their feet. And still, the rope won't break. The danger is getting incredibly close. On one side, we have our brave boy armed with literally nothing but a pocket knife, trying to cut this stubborn rope. On the other side, a massive charging stampede of wild animals. The wild boars have already jumped onto the back of the very first crocodile. The tigers, the lions, the rhino, the gorilla, they are all rushing onto the crocodile bridge, running straight toward the boy and the dragon. And the dragon is totally panicking, crying out, "Oh, please, hurry, hurry." But right when the boy thinks they are for sure going to be caught, an amazing plot twist happens. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a hilarious fact about crocodiles. You see, crocodiles are very moody. They are not the least bit dependable. Actually, they really only care about their stomachs. So, G, the first crocodile, finishes his lollipop, and instead of staying in line as a bridge, he just turns away from the bank and starts swimming right down the middle of the river. The second crocodile hasn't finished his candy yet, so he just happily follows the first one, and the third follows the second. The whole train of crocodiles just swims away, taking the wild boars, the tigers, the rhinos, the lions, and the gorilla right down the river with them. The angry animals are stuck riding on the wet backs of the crocodiles, yelling and screaming and getting their feet completely soaked. It is such a silly sight that the boy and the baby dragon start laughing so hard they literally feel weak. Once they finally recover from giggling, the boy quickly finishes cutting the thick rope. It snaps, and the dragon is finally free. The baby dragon is so incredibly happy that he races around in circles and even tries to turn a clumsy somersault. He is for sure the most excited baby dragon that ever lived. The boy climbs right onto the dragon's back. All aboard, says the dragon, and they soar up into the sky, high above the dark jungle, leaving those angry wet animals far behind. As they fly over the ocean, with the waves crashing on the rocks far below, they hear a tiny voice calling from Wild Island. The animals have finally arrived, but they are too late. From far down below comes a mixed-up shout, "We need our dragon." The voice gets smaller and smaller as Elmer and the dragon fly farther away. They look at each other and smile. The dragon is finally free, and Wild Island is far behind them. Together, they keep flying toward Tangerina, knowing they will never have to go back. And that shows us something important. A little brain power can save the day. Elmer didn't fight the gorilla or wrestle the tigers. He used rubber bands, lollipops, and his clever imagination to rescue his new friend. So, before we end today, here's a question for you. If you had a giant problem, like a river full of hungry crocodiles, what clever trick would you invent? Keep thinking, keep imagining, and I'll see you next time on another book. If you'd like more personalized feedback, writing support, and discussion sessions, they're available with me or with our selected tutors. All the details are here.